welcome everybody to the very first ever episode of the Artists of Animation podcast as presented by the Academy of Animated Art. My name is Mike Tanzillo and I'm so excited about this podcast. For those of you that don't know me, I have been a lighter at Blue Sky Studios for the past 11 years. I've worked on over 10 films, lit and composited over 1,000 shots. I am also the co-author of Lighting for Animation, the visual art of storytelling, along with Jasmine Katatakarn. Jasmine and I also started the Academy of Animated Art, which is also the sponsor of this show, so you'll hear us mention our courses and our school quite often. And let me tell you guys, we are coming out of the gates with a bang. We have one of my favorite people, not only in this industry, but in the world. Becki Tower is going to be joining us. She is an animator at Pixar. She is phenomenal. She has so much passion for this industry and so much insight and so much wisdom that I can't wait for you all to listen to this interview. After the interview, if you're looking for more information, we will have it posted to the website. It's www.artistsofAnimation.com. For those that don't know, this podcast is all about bringing together the best minds and the best people in our industry to sit down and have a conversation about what makes them tick, why they got into this industry, how they got into this industry, and what advice they have for you, the listener, about furthering your career. I don't want to ramble too much more, so I just want to get right to it. So here we go, my interview with Becki. Our guest today is Becki Tower. Becki began studying at the Savannah College of Art and Design and then started her career as an intern at Neversoft Games. After that, she moved on to Blue Sky Studios, where she was animating on Horton Hears a Who, before heading over to Pixar, where she's been animating for over 11 years and working on our beloved films like Up, Toy Story 3, Brave, Monsters University, The Good Dinosaur, Finding Dory, and Coco. She was the crowd animation supervisor for Cars 3 and most recently, the directing animator on Toy Story 4. And not only that, she's one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. Becki Tower, welcome to the Artists of Animation podcast.
Hello, great to be here.
So first off, congratulations on Toy Story 4. It is a huge success. As we sit here today, it's 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. And to put that a little bit in perspective, that is the same as The Godfather and actually 1 percentage point better than Casablanca, which is insane. So congratulations on that.
Wow, cool.
Okay, we'll get to Toy Story 4. But before that, we want to get to know about you a little bit more. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Rentham, Massachusetts. Yes.
Great. And were you like an artistic kid growing up? Was something that you always were interested in?
Yeah, I've always loved art, and I'm super fortunate to have been raised in a very artistic family. My mom was an art teacher for 30 some odd years. She was a coach. My dad was an engineer, but did a lot of architectural drawings, a lot of mechanical drawings. So the whole precision and OCD of animation, I attribute that to my dad. The artistry, the creativity, just the whole free spirit side of animation and the fact that we're acting and creating performances, I definitely would attribute that to my mom. So looking back now, I think there was quite the happy combo between, free spirit and also the precision of the computer and the technology side of it. And yeah, so it's definitely in the roots.
That's great.
I've got grandparents that are painters. I've got lots of relatives that are in the arts too. So it makes a lot of sense looking back. Yeah.
So what originally drew you to a career in animation? Like, was there any one point that you can remember?
Oh man, this is all I've ever wanted. So if I look back in 7th grade, I wrote to Mike Eisner, the head of Disney at the time, and I asked him for a job in animation. I told him I wanted to be an animator. I didn't get a job, but it was...
No, that's child labor. That's something else altogether. That's a different thing.
Yeah, but it goes way back. I mean, I remember I've been an athlete my whole life too, and I would go to all these different sports camps, and I'd pack my little whole spread of markers, and I would draw Disney characters on people's ankles. I'd give them tattoos or their arms, or I was in all my yearbooks I would sign for my friends. I would draw them Disney characters, cartoon characters. I have always loved animation, and I don't know what initially drew me in outside of the films, but I do know I love bringing things to life. And I do love capturing moments and really kind of caricaturing the life and the world we live in. This stuff's just really appealing. And especially in my own work, if you're ever animating a shot and all of a sudden it goes from this sort of weird linear blocking, and then at some point it starts to feel real. that is a very addictive thing for me. I love that. I love when you can look at a character and all of a sudden it's relatable and it's breathing and it's moving. And
did you find yourself aware of performance when you were younger? Like when you were just interested in animation, were you like watching Aladdin or Little Mermaid or something and just like very aware of the performances that were being put forth by the animators?
To be honest, no. In fact, I'm not a film junkie. I did not grow up watching tons of film. I didn't even necessarily do tons of film studying, tons of film history outside of school, all the courses we went through. But I am not the person who goes home and watches tons of films and tracks character arcs or story arcs, or I wouldn't even label myself as a huge story person necessarily. I'm very much a moment person. I love the craft of animation. I love the collaboration that comes with other artists. I love the environment that we work in, and I love the interaction between not only different departments, but just different styles of artists within our own. So I am driven to the experience, and I love what we create, but I'm really just all about the moments that are brought together, the moments of making art, but then the moments that we put up on screen. But I wouldn't say that I'm someone who would come home and then write my own story per se, or try to direct my own film per se. I am all about the little niches, all about the shot by shot, the geekery of like frame by framing and going through that kind of stuff, the appeal of characters, going through that, who this character is, what their backstory is.
I tell people that who are interested in animation, and I think that's so true, that the animators I know, yourself and other successful ones, are I wouldn't want to say the word obsessed with that part of the craft, but like just so driven and so focused on it. And I think that's a big part of probably what's driving your success is just that like focus on that moment. Do you a lot of the animators that you work with have that too?
Yeah. And that's the cool part is there's so many different types of animators. There's so many different types of artists that do it for different reasons. There are definitely artists amongst the Pixar group in specific, only because I work with them, but they aspire to tell big stories. They aspire to direct. They write their own shorts and they do that kind of stuff. And that's amazing. There are also many who just are really all about the craft. And they're really about those shot by shots. There's some that it's this obsession with creating a believable moment. And it isn't so much as this is a stepping stone to get to something bigger or greater. This is what we've always wanted to do. This is what they do. And they really pride themselves with when they get their casting to flush out the choreography of an entire run of shots and the satisfaction that comes with that. And the detail that comes with that, how real it could feel. Not necessarily realism, but the believability factor.
For sure. And totally. And it's the same thing in lighting. Like it's that attention to detail that like that thing that most people would probably find tedious. Like you said, like going from block animation into like a smooth, like clean animation where things start to become real. It's the same thing with lighting. It's that tedious process of trying to create shaping on every element in the scene. But then you hit this point like where you're building the composite together and everything just starts to like, like you said, it's not photoreal, but it feels alive. And it's like you just breathe life into the work, and it's so so cool. And it's like I said, I could never do what you do. The second I start setting keyframes, I lose focus completely. And it's just so interesting to hear about somebody else's focus on that kind of thing. Okay, so you went to grad school and undergrad at SCAD. Can you talk about your education experience a little bit?
Yeah, I love SCAD. I went there initially. I always knew I wanted to do animation. I played sports, so I did get recruited to a lot of schools in New England. There was a lot of schools that had an animation department, or they had one class or a small track. A lot of them didn't have animation. They'd say, we could start something up. That wasn't appealing to me. I really wanted to go to a school that had a beaten path, that had tons of resources, and a lot of students doing the same thing. Because I didn't. It's an uphill battle enough. I really just wanted to be amongst like-minded artists who were trying to get in the same direction. So I appreciated that SCAD had that. Again, my mom being an art teacher, she had gone down there and taken a class. And it was some sort of teachers forum where they brought in art teachers from around the country and they could take a class and they could learn and see the campus. And I remember her coming home being like, oh my God, Becki, they have animation and they have a basketball team. This is huge. this was this magical combo where I really thought I'd have to drop off the sports if I went to an art school. And admittedly, I was falling into that stereotype school of thought of you can't be both. You can't be an artist and an athlete. And I was so proud and happy that I was able to flex both those muscles in college. And I was able to play basketball, and it worked out. And I went to SCAD, and I ended up doing a major in computer art, which at the time it was sort of an umbrella major. You could pick the track. And I did the computer art major with a 2D animation track. And then I also picked up a minor in drawing because I was doing a lot of portraiture and a lot of life drawing, and a lot of classes that were just, hand drawn. I loved it. It was great. But, when I came out, I found I had gotten very good at being a good student. I'm studious and I work hard, and I was proud of that. But where I struggled was I seemed to be good at a lot of things, but not amazing at just character animation. And that seems to be what, for the larger studios, they are looking for specialty. They are looking for excellence in one particular role, one particular part of their pipeline. And for me, I was good and I was getting better, but I definitely wasn't feature level yet. And I knew that. And I had applied to a couple big studios. I didn't quite find my groove there. I didn't get in. No problem. So I ended up actually after undergrad, I moved back to Massachusetts. I ended up working as a product designer here. It was fine, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. I ended up coaching high school basketball, which I loved. But ultimately, I wasn't in animation, and that was hard for me. That was really hard for me. So I ended up getting back in touch with the school. I ended up going back for grad school, and that's when I knew, okay, I'm appreciative that I got to learn lighting and rigging and modeling and all these other disciplines. I don't regret that at all. But I knew if I really wanted to get great at just character animation, just 3D character animation, then I needed to find a way to just focus on that. So from that moment, I ended up all my independent studies, all my electives, every single class I could possibly take, I would try to drive it around character animation and exercises and acting tests, and just became this one-track mission. It was Pixar or bust. It was, I'm going to get there. I'm going to use the breadth of exposure I'd had with all the other disciplines, but I'm just going to respect that I don't want to do that. And,
How long of a break did you take between undergrad and grad?
It was about a year.
Yeah.
It was about a year. Yeah. And again, I could have stayed I moved home to New England. I could have stayed. I could have done, I could have worked for smaller studios or found a new way. But I really, truly, my dream was the big studio. My dream was Pixar. I really wanted to get there. I was not satisfied with stopping. It was just this uncontrollable passion that I had to get there, and I had to do everything I could to empower myself with the knowledge and the iterations and keep going after it. So grad school made sense for me.
Yeah.
It made sense. I had some great relationships there. I mean, great professors there. I had a comfort with the school. I just had a really great time. So I wanted to go back and kind of carry that through. So, but yeah, when I got to grad school, I ended up doing a traditional hand-drawn film that did really well. I got some exposure. I got into heavy 3D character animation. I met some awesome friends. Any project I did, I just tried to collaborate where I bartered. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to give you character animation. If you build this character, I'll animate it. You can put it on your reel. I'll put it on my reel.
Half of my demo reel was your animation because we collaborated because I didn't want to animate anything. I just wanted to light.
Yes, right? And that was the beauty of grad school because it had a lot more flexibility with, you didn't have to do every part of the pipeline. You could just do your thing. And that is so similar to the industry. That is so similar to level production where you don't have to rig and model and do your own sets and your own lighting. I get that stuff. It's like you trust that other people are exceptional at that, and you do your thing, and you trust that you can become exceptional at that.
For sure.
So I thought, grad school ended up working really well, and you're building these strong relationships with fellow artists, and you're loving what they're doing, you're appreciating what they're doing, you're collaborating to make these little vignettes or films or whatever they are. And look at this. I mean, 15 years later, you and I are still friends.
Yeah.
It all started by working on a project together.
It's true.
Right?
It's true. And I always tell people all the time that your reputation is one of the most sacred things in this industry and it starts the first day that you're in school or the first day you do any of this stuff, or even online interactions, because that stuff, for better or worse, will follow you. And I still, whenever we get applications who have SCAD on their resume, I still get asked, "Hey, Mike, do you know this person? Did you work with them?" And my good experiences, bad experience, like it all comes out, and it's all just, it's all so important that you establish those good relationships early, and you learn to create beautiful things together, and it's great. So I know that Pixar was your focus and your dream, but it wasn't a direct path there. You stopped you went to Neversoft, and you went to Blue Sky to work on Horton Hears a Who. So Neversoft is a gaming company, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Can you talk about your what type of work did you do there, or your experience there?
Yeah. So Neversoft was an Activision company.
Mm-hmm.
So they were under their sort of umbrella. At the time, they were working on Guitar Hero 3. That's what I worked on specifically. I was there for about 6 months, I believe it was. This was, speaking of networking, speaking of friends, there was a SCAD alum that I was close with, Rob. He was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, in grad school, this was another thing. I was always trying to find people to critique my work. And I was always reaching out to alumni, people that had left SCAD, not only asking people internally, but also really trying to build relationships with those either I already was close with, or maybe I could become close with, if they were implanted in some studio, and they were, again, they could see things in my work that I couldn't see. And that's what I needed. I needed people to look at my work and tell me what I don't see, help me understand what I'm not doing right, or if my physics aren't right, or help me with my timing, help me with my posing, help me understand what I'm missing, or expose me to my next step. So in that effort, I knew an animator who was at Neversoft. And so I was sending him clips. And then, one day he was like, "Hey, I think we're picking up interns. Would you want to come aboard? I could pass your reel." And I was like, "Yeah." So that was cool. I passed my name, and then, they ended up bringing me aboard. And that was awesome. Now, I'll admit, I'm not a gamer. I don't play video games. I'm not savvy with all that stuff. They were dealing with heavy motion capture that wasn't initially appealing out the gate for me, again, because I was the singular vision of I wanted to do hand-keyed animation. But I will say I loved that studio. I loved that experience. They've since closed down, but I look back on those months I was there, and it was gold for me. Not only because it was a small team, the relationships were strong. I was cleaning motion capture, and I was creating cycles, but I was also having to do my own animation to create all the connective tissue. I had a lot of responsibility with posing and with the appeal of these cycles, how they would hook up with each other. And I just really enjoyed it. They treated me like gold. I got paid. I got a place to live. I got a car. They bought us our meals. They were so nice. And now, having looked at, that's the thing with motion capture, you might not love it. You might not love the act of cleaning it and having a job that deals with it. And it might not be your ideal end goal. But I'll tell you, me trying to get better at polish, if you're looking at smooth, almost perfect motion day in and day out, and you're needing to create hand-keyed animation that sits in that world and meshes nicely, your eye gets really good at, oh wow, that's the physics. You're subconsciously digesting all of human physics and the weight shifts and all those things when you don't realize it, but you're learning every single minute you're dealing with that stuff. So looking back, I loved it. I'm so glad I did it. And it wasn't something that I initially out the gate would have been like, hey, I want that as a stepping stone, but it is very responsible for any artist, no matter where they go in life. Each step they take, and each studio they go to, and every shot they work on, and every project, it is your responsibility to find the silver lining and get out of it what you need out of it. It is your responsibility to look at every opportunity and be like, hey, again, I didn't see this coming necessarily, but I'm going to get some great stuff out of this, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to grow, and this will round out my tool set of what I offer for my next job. So ironically, the very first day I got to Neversoft, I got to California, again, coming from Georgia. I'm sitting in my hotel. I'm waiting. Someone's going to pick me up to bring me to get the rental car that they would give me for the 6 months. I'm literally in my hotel room and I get an email from Blue Sky saying, hey, we'd like to pick you up as a temp on Horton. And I cried. I was so excited. I was like, this is great. And, I told them, like, hey, I'm at Neversoft. I'm looking forward to this opportunity. I really want to see it through. They were like, great. We don't even need you for another 6 months or what have you. They lined it up so that I could literally leave Neversoft and go right off to Horton. So it was, again, extra special knowing that during my time at Neversoft, I could learn, and enjoy it. And I had a next step waiting for me. Mm-hmm. That's not lost on me. I know not most people have that. So I just, again, tried to take advantage, build relationships, enjoy it. I mean, that company was fun. I mean, they were doing the Tony Hawk games. So that everybody got like skater shoes. They had skateboards. They had a ramp in their studio. They had a basketball hoop out back. I mean, I remember playing ball with the guys and just loving it. And I loved that company. So then from there, I went off to Blue Sky. Mm-hmm. I was a temp on Horton. There was 35 of us temps. And that, man, I still have close friends from that job. Yeah. My office mate, Kyle Moore, he's at Pixar now. I mean, he's here. It's like we were two redheads in a little office with a bunch of friends that were temps there are now full-timers at Pixar. Yeah. A bunch of full-timers at Blue Sky are now full-timers at Pixar. So I have so many people from my Blue Sky days, loved that film, really enjoyable. It was fast-paced. I remember at one point it was like 24-hour blocking, which was insane for me as a student. I consider myself student level at that point. I was just like, okay, head down, do what you can, get out of it what you can, focus on your acting, right? Now you're doing hand-cued stuff. You know how to try to keep it smooth. You worked on your polish, your eye is stronger. Now let's really focus on physics. Let's focus on appeal. Let's focus on your shots and how they play into overarching character arcs, how they connect with all the shots around them. That was a new experience for me because, Neversoft, it was more cycle-based for games. Mm-hmm. So again, each opportunity you're looking at it like, what can I really get out of this? How can I apply my skills and grow? What are my goals in this short amount of time or long amount of time, whatever it is? And all the while really just trying to enjoy it. And yeah, that was fun. That was awesome. And even that was short-lived. And I knew out of the 35 of us, I think they were going to offer 3 people jobs, like long-term gigs. Yeah. I knew I was going back to school. So for me, stress was off. I was like, I need to finish grad school. So I could take all I wanted from it. I could enjoy it. I could know that it was just this small amount of time. I could go back to school and finish my film. Mm-hmm. And that's what I ended up doing. Again, another awesome experience. Yeah.
And then, okay, so from there, you finished up school and then you went off to Pixar. Can you talk a little bit about the interview process there, what you showed and what you, just like the interactions and from being from a student to getting in the door at Pixar?
Yeah, so that I came in as an intern. Ironically, while I was again at Neversoft, I applied to Pixar all the time. I applied to the internship multiple years. I just kept applying, and that's a huge thing. People like you don't take no for an answer. You just keep getting better. And not to tangent here, but now being on the other side of things, and as I've been a part of several years of reviews where I've seen reels come in, and a lot of animators are pulled in, and we'll get to be part of the experience of reviewing them. You do see the same artists a lot over and over, and that's a good thing because you're seeing how they're growing. And you'll remember a reel from last year, the year before, and it had that one similar clip that stood out back then, and you will see how they've added now more clips because they've been getting better and they've been doing more animation. And as you reapply, you are allowing a company the privilege to see you grow. They get a front row seat to watching you grow, watching you get better. And I've now seen that where animators will apply, and we're watching them get better and better and better. And they don't even know it, but we're familiar with their work and we remember them. And you're like, oh, here's that clip. I remember that from last year. Oh man, they added another one. Cool. Oh dude, she's getting so much better. Awesome. So
now that's a question that that I try and answer a lot. So I'll ask you this. So some of our students will say like, well, I just applied there 3 months ago, 6 months ago. I don't want to annoy them with my reel by continuing to apply. Do you ever get overwhelmed by someone's submission, or do you just like welcome the reels being submitted again and again?
Well, at least, I mean, if you did something annually, that makes sense. The internship would collect reels annually.
Sure.
So it's once a year. So it would make sense to do it annually. That makes sense to me because, it's a call out for interns. It's a call out for new reels. In theory, you should have gotten better in a year, especially if you're heads down working. You might have a lot to show after 6 months. That's fine. It depends on what post is out there. And, but I would say a good rule of thumb is if you've made significant progress on your reel and you've swapped out a couple pieces, or it's not just, you've re-edited the same work.
Sure.
That's not a significant change. But if you've made a significant change and you've added really good content, then I would just shoot an email to the recruiter being like, hey, I'm not sure if you're looking for people yet, but I wanted you to know here's an updated reel. I've added 2 more dialogue tests. I've added a pantomime. I've turned over some of the clips on here, and just say, I wanted you to know, like here's an updated reel. And I'll tell you what, I mean, recruiters, they're pretty phenomenal. They have a wealth of knowledge, and they keep tabs on people.
That's
when they see really good reels, they shoot it over to the department heads, and they're like, hey, this person, they've submitted again, or they've got some great stuff. So all I'm saying is if you don't cast that net out, it's like fly fishing. If you don't send that thing out, you're never going to catch anything. And if you don't send your reel out and try to get exposure and try to build relationships, then how are people ever going to know you exist? Again, it's your responsibility to advocate for your own talent in a respectful way.
Yeah. That's amazing advice. That's so incredibly helpful. Okay, so you interviewed at Pixar. Like, what did you fly out there? Did they Skype you in, or how did you communicate with them?
Yeah. So going back to the Neversoft thing, when I was there, yes, I had gotten that first day. I got an email from Blue Sky, but about halfway through my time at Neversoft, I also got an email from Pixar, or I got a phone call from them saying, we would like to pick you up as one of our interns this summer. Are you available? Talk about crying on the phone. I was not available because I had already signed for Blue Sky, and that was during the summer months, and I was really distraught. And again, so much respect for Blue Sky, but it's been no secret that the dream for me was Pixar from, high school, middle school.
Sure.
So I knew the internship was fantastic because it's very, it's classroom based. It's very educational. It's really hands-on. They're really trying to take each person and make them better. And I wanted to be a part of that. Anyway, long story short, I had to say no because legally I had signed to go to Blue Sky. The recruiter at the time said, don't worry, Becki, we'll stay in touch. And I'm thinking, honestly, I was like, they're not going to stay in touch. No way. There's no way. There's thousands and thousands of reels. Like, there's no way they're going to stay in touch with me. But to their credit completely, they did. And every about a month or so, I get an email from the recruiter, and she'd be like, hey, how's it going? Where are you at? And I would tell her, okay, my time at Blue Sky is ending here. I'm going to go back to grad school. I have another year. I'm working on my film. Can I keep sending you material? And she was like, absolutely. So I would keep sending her things I was working on. And then come March, before the internship was, they basically just said, we want you for this summer. So that next March, they just took me on. So it wasn't an interview per se. It was just we had a relationship where she was, because I qualified for the previous year, they were just trying to still get me in there. So I knew, in March that I'd head to Pixar in June. So that was 2008, and I went, and I was an intern for the 3 months, and right after that, I ended up signing. They asked if I wanted to stay, and I did a very small stint on Cars Tunes. I was a fixer, so you're doing kind of quality control stuff, like little intersections and what have you. Didn't matter to me. I'm all in. Did not matter. And from there, then I became a fixer on Up, same capacity, except I got more responsibility where, okay, can you do a physics pass on this character? Can you do a polish pass on this shot? This one needs to get reblocked. Do you mind? So you're fixing other people's shots, but again, finding an opportunity. The luxury there is you are tinkering under the hoods of amazing animator shots. You are opening up their curves, looking at their splines. You are seeing how they're creating the animation they're creating. There were some shots where I'd be like, how did they possibly do that? And I could actually open up the curve editor and see. Yeah. And I go, oh man, they did this, and then they layered this, and it's like, oh, it was, again, like you're looking at it like a Rembrandt, and you're opening up. It's like, how did you do that? Yeah. And for me, it was all, again, about the collaboration, about learning from people around you, about surrounding yourself with better talent and knowing that you're supposed to not be the best. And that's the point, because when you submerge yourself in that much talent around you, you have no choice but to grow, but to get better, to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
It happens.
No, that's so true. When you first started a studio, I always encourage people, just keep your eyes open and pay attention to the artists around you. Pay attention to how they work, and you will learn such an incredible amount. You will learn from, like I said, from a lighting standpoint, if you open their composite or their light rig and you just see how they organize stuff, it's so cool and it's so inspirational. I remember when I first started, I was just, I took color swabs of all the colors that they used in all the different lights, and I would create these color palettes of like, okay, this is the color palette they used for outdoor, daytime, interior, nighttime. And I would just study these color palettes because I was obsessing over them, and they were just so beautiful. It's so important to allow yourself the opportunity to say, I don't need to know everything right now. I need to be inspired by what's around me. And that's incredible.
Yes. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care where you go, what studio, in what capacity, no one ever is so naive to think that you're a finished product.
Exactly.
And you should not think you're a finished product. And when you go, your potential, right? A studio isn't investing in potential, and they think that you're a good fit for some team, for some show, for some film, for something, but they are looking forward to seeing how you merge onto their highway and you learn their way and you collaborate with the people that are there. And it's not about the competition. That this is something that pains me. Because we're all individual contributors, we're all individuals, and naturally our art is an expression of ourselves. So there is a natural time for the ego of an artist to fold into their artistry. That is normal, that is okay. But when your ego takes over so much that it becomes this competitive drive, that now you don't see the artists around you as resources and help and teammates, but you see them as threats that they are going to take away something that you are owed, that is a big red flag, right? That could be the toxicity that is art. And try to be on the other side of that. Try your hardest to, when you walk into something, you're like, I'm going to take every opportunity I can, and whatever I'm given, I'm going to try to plus it. I'm going to try to make anything better. Because I touched it in some capacity, I'm going to use whatever skill I have to make this thing good, better. But don't look at your teammates around you as they're going to take from you. It's really, they are actually going to make you better. And if you lean on them and you show them your work and you become vulnerable and you open yourself to all that they could show you from different perspective and new opinions and use their years of experience to help you, dude, that's the name of the game. It's not about you.
Absolutely.
It's not about you. Your success when you get into a feature level or any level is not about you. It's about how you can be a part of something bigger than yourself and really give to that. That's true.
And I do want to say something else that you did during the interview process at Pixar that actually, I'm sure, endeared you to them, which is you said, this is a dream opportunity for me, but I've signed a contract with another company and I need to honor that. And I think that's so important for people. I've talked to recruiters who have said, if somebody drops where they're working in the middle of a production to come to the new job, it shows their character, and it's going to say that they would probably do the same for your company. Like if you were like, I know, hey, Pixar, I signed this contract with Blue Sky, but I'm going to cut them and I'm going to come straight to you. That is a little bit of a red flag to them. So I think it's important for you when you're interviewing and when you're talking to companies to be that it's okay, that it's good, it's positive to be respectful of the other studios, and they understand that and they feed off of that a little bit. So I am blown away by your honor of getting offered your dream job and saying, no, I've signed a contract with somebody else, and just taking your time to do that. That's great.
Yeah, and I can't take all the credit there. Trust me, I would have hopped ship. I was young and naive, right?
Yeah.
You don't know better. And I'm glad that they looked out for me and said, actually, no, you shouldn't do that.
Good.
Actually, no, you legally can't. And I'm actually really glad the red tape stopped me, because there was so much I learned at Blue Sky.
Good.
And going there and seeing those artists and being a part of that film was priceless for me. Thank God I did that. And then I went back to grad school, and even simple things like, being an animator at Blue Sky, I remember we'd have these plastic shields over our monitors, and you take a dry erase, marker at the time, you connect your dots for your arcs. Okay, now that we've got streamlines and things that do that for us, but at the time you did it manually with your marker and your pen, and you're up on your screen. And I took things like that back to school with me. And I remember sitting in the lab and showing other animators, look what they do at Blue Sky. And I would show them all the things that I learned. Mm-hmm. And I then became a resource for other students at SCAD to learn from. And it's not, yes, I got the opportunity. Yes, I got to be at a studio to go and do that. But mm-hmm. again, it's my responsibility to come back and give that to the group and give that to other animators and help them see what I saw and help them get better. Because it's not about me hoarding jobs. It's about me helping everyone else just like they've helped me, and us all raising the bar of our industry. And as each student goes out and starts to make their mark, it gets better and better and better, and the pool of artists gets stronger and stronger and stronger, our medium gets stronger. These films get better. There's more films made. They get more attention. Right? This is good for all of us. We're collectively raising the bar of what we do. Mm-hmm. But it's this real, again, at the time I would have hopped ship. I'm glad they and now I really appreciate being at Pixar. Yeah. It's not grass is greener. Like I'm here and I love it. And I because I can sit on the experience of having been other places, and mm-hmm. I can appreciate that I got to try games. It wasn't for me. I loved my time at Blue Sky, but I always wanted to be here, and that's fine, right? But I'll tell you, if something happened tomorrow, I'd go back there. I would enjoy that. I love East Coast. I'm from the East Coast. Yeah. I got friends there still. Like, I just think it's just really, really great. There's no one answer for happiness.
No, that's great. Okay, so I know that you spent 11 years at Pixar now?
Yep.
Okay. And in that time period, you've done both crowd animation and character animation. Can you talk about crowd animation a little bit? Because that's not something that I think students deal with too often, because they're usually dealing with like smaller, like just like two characters. Can you talk about your time as a crowd animator?
Yeah. So, crowds in general, you're working on supportive animation. You are working on the stuff that it's in support of the hero animation. Mm-hmm. So it could be stuff in the background. It could be a secondary character. It could be cycles if necessary. At Pixar, we have people come in as fixers where, again, you're working in other people's shots. You're learning from them. You're doing kind of low-hanging fruit to help move inventory through a department. Mm-hmm. And then you move into crowds and you're doing your own hand-keyed animation, your own, you're just, again, you're in other people's shots, but it's a whole different level of investment. You're doing your own stuff to help out, and you deal with composition. You deal with big flows of sequences.
Sure.
When you do crowd work, you think about the energy of the shot. What is the energy needed in this moment, and you're really crafting all your animation based on that. And again, it's just about all these stepping stones. It's a different skill you're using completely. Multitasking to the extreme. Dealing with a lot of characters to the extreme. It's a whole different way of saying, okay, I need to be really efficient in my workflow because I'm actually needing to touch 12 characters. You can't dilly-dally. You're in there, and it's all about refinement and precision and getting more efficient as an animator.
That's great.
And then you're getting smaller moments of, in crowds, we specifically stretch cast a lot. So you're going to get hero shots, but it is now, so in current day Pixar, we have a pool of talent where you could be used as a fixer or a crowds or shots at any given time. Mm-hmm. This is an opportunity to stretch cast you into shots, to do smaller shots, to do hero acting, but also do supportive animation in crowds way, and then to be able to be a really good fixer. And over half our department has come through the internship, and almost everyone has started up through fixing.
Nice.
And there's something to be said of, you're like a special ops. You come into a shot and you're like, okay, I need to fix this one little moment.
Yeah.
You get really good at the full set, and you get really good at like, okay, I just need to edit this one little bit. Mm-hmm. How can I do that effectively and be really good at it?
For sure.
And that's you better when you get into hero work later, when you show in dailies or you show in walkthroughs and you get a note of I need you to fix this one part of your shot. Mm-hmm. You're already a trained fixer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. You're already in there. You're basically just a professional note hitter at that point.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, I can edit really, really effectively. And I just think it's great for every animator to get exposed to all those things. It just happens to work for us in the way we do things. Yeah, so, I did that. So, I came up through fixing and then crowds. I got into shot work. Eventually got offered the opportunity to be the crowds and second unit animation supervisor. So now I'm leading the team that's doing the supportive animation. That was on Cars. That was awesome. And really that's when something really clicked because, going back to my roots, I was an athlete my whole life. I am all about this team play. I am all about really honoring the group with every individual's role. And that was huge for me because I felt like for the first time, Pixar was using both sides of me. They're using my artistry and my animation ability, but now they're using my team play.
And your leadership abilities,
Yeah, that was so exciting for me. I felt like, if your leads, if they're like the coaches and I'm like a captain, I'm like one of them, and we're helping get this shit moving and we're getting this stuff done.
That's amazing.
So.
2 more questions. So one more about Toy Story 4, because I know for those listeners, Becki's on vacation right now, and I don't want to take too much of her time away from her family. First question. So Toy Story 4, it's the 4th of probably the most beloved franchise in our industry. And with that comes a lot of pressure. Like, how do you balance pushing forward in the craft with honoring what's already been done in the past? Like, what were the things that you were trying to move forward from or push forward? And what things were you trying to look back on the previous 3 films and keep consistent with those?
Yeah, Toy Story, again, so much love, such a high bar for what the world's expecting to see, what they have seen. So, after, the original and Toy Story 2 and 3, people are just like, why are you doing this? And, truthfully, there was a story untold, there was a thread to the sweater that no one told. And I think we had an opportunity with Bo Peep specifically to bring her back and show her in a whole new way. She's always been a strong woman, but we never really got to enjoy the complexity of the character she could have become. And that became a big passion project for this film. And, we have the, new characters like Gabby and Ducky and Bunny and Forky. And I mean, there's so much fun there, but really where I personally attached myself was on Team Bo. And that was all of us going out there and really embracing, looking at where she's been, what we've shown our audience to who she was in the past, and then how she could have evolved now becoming a lost toy herself and out in the world and all the experience and the wisdom that comes with those experiences, and how we can turn that into a very complex, satisfying, powerful female character. And that was awesome. Now, on the film itself, I was a directing animator, so there was 3 of us directing animators. We had 2 soups. We had a fixed lead and a crowd lead, and all of us we were leading the group to create all the animation. So we ourselves did not animate. Most often we don't as leads, and we are just helping each animator craft those moments. We are trying to be advocates for what's important for each shot, what's important to the sequences. We try to help guide and just be any way helpful to our crew. And in this case, again, going back to Team Bo, we had all these artists from modeling the characters to art to story that really took under their wings who Bo was going to be. And we passed this baton from story to characters to layout to animation and all these things that we really wanted to retain and all these principles that who Bo could be, modern Bo as we called her. And that was awesome. But I never got to animate her in the final film, which was so hard because you work on this character for years.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now you're not responsible for what's up on screen, but you have helped each animator really, it's their brilliance, right? And you run support for their brilliance up on screen. Yeah. And you can speak to all the things we tried to retain from all the different story iterations for Toy Story 4. We went through all a bunch of different options, all the things that really, really mattered, that through line, and you were able to speak to that all along the way.
That's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so final question. There are going to be listeners that are going to want to be animators at Pixar. They're going to want to be putting together demo reels. They're going to want to know what it is that they should be focusing on. Is there any advice that you can provide to anybody who, like, what are the things, maybe like the top 3 things that you look for in a demo reel that a student could work on?
Yeah, well, it comes down to ideas. It truly comes down to what about your reel stands out, and how you know about, okay, the answer there is how you have brought yourself into your work. Because it is so easy for students and professionals alike to look out there and say, oh, this person got a job. Let me look at their demo reel and I'm going to copy that. That's what they want. I'm going to copy that. Or I'm going to head in that direction. That's actually the wrong answer. I mean, you can look and find, maybe they polished nice stuff, they had good physics. But I'm going to tell you, I can speak for Pixar specifically. We're looking for ideas. We're looking for the thing that's like, that person has original thought. I can actually see who that artist is through their work. There's something interesting there. And it doesn't have to be polished and pretty. It doesn't have to have the best physics in the world. But you know what? If there's an original idea and it's authentic to that person, that's what we want. Because we can teach you the box. We can teach you the software. We're going to anyway, because we use our own software. So we already know that. We're not scared. We're not expecting you to come in and like hit the ground running. We know we can teach you, polish and physics and some of the basics. We can teach you the software, like I said, but we cannot teach you originality. We cannot teach you thoughtful acting ideas. That is not our responsibility. You will get better being here, and you will learn from those around you, but we want the one who thinks originally, and that we can take and really just teach them the rest, to round them out, and let them go. So, my advice to people, to students, is you need to figure out who you are and what kind of statements you wanted to make as an artist. And you need to put that on your demo reel. You need your acting to say something about yourself. You need your content to speak to why it mattered that you animated this and not somebody else. That is what you do. When you create your art, why is your name on that demo reel and not somebody else's? And if you can just go off and copy what you see out there, that's great, but all you are is a duplicate of them. And that is not appealing. But if you become an excellent artist with a new voice, with something interesting, with something original, that's what people want. That's someone who's going to lead the next generation of artists. That's someone who's going to push that high bar. That's someone who's going to push the envelope and push the expectations in-house and force us creatively as an entire studio to move. That's what we want.
Becki, this has been probably the best and most motivational hour I've had in a very long time. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you all for listening in.
No, I got one more thing, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Someone just, okay, I need to say this. Someone told me this a few weeks ago. Matt Strangio, an animator at Pixar.
Okay.
He made the comment that he's never actually seen someone not make it if they never stop trying. He's actually seen through like Animation Mentor and all these other programs, he's never seen someone not make it if they just kept trying. Think about that. Like, let that sink in. And I think all too often we see animators who will be like, well, I applied 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Aaron Hartline applied for like 13 years. And he was now just a directing animator with me on Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
Right? You don't give up. And if it matters to you, you don't give up. And just keep trying, and you just keep getting better, and you get addicted to the idea that you can become better, and you love the process, and you get curious, and you move, and you get motivated, and you connect with other people. You will make it. So it doesn't matter. Dude, Montague Ruffin, I was just at a college, doing a talk with him, and he showed his very first animation, and it was beautifully horrible. And he's now at Pixar working, and he's proud of it. These are his words. He showed his very first acting test, and it was rough, as it should be, because you're brand new. And mine, if you've ever seen mine, is horrible, right? But that guy used that as a starting point to tell his story, so that each person, even if you think that you're like, this is awful, and I don't even know how I'll ever get to, that high level of feature, dude, every single person starts there at that bad, what we think is bad version of something. And you just keep going, and you just keep trying, and you get obsessed with it, and you'll get there. So to Matt's credit for highlighting that, for seeing Monty and his work, and now like every artist that I've seen that just didn't stop trying, they get there.
That's amazing. Becki, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Like I said, you're on vacation, you're with your family, and I've been so motivated by the things that you said today. I'm ready to go run through a wall and conquer the world now, and I hope everybody else feels the same way too. So thank you so much for joining us, and I can't tell you how appreciative we are.